And good evening. We begin tonight with that sprawling gambling crackdown involving NBA stars, the mafia, and the wealthy targets caught up in their web. The FBI charging more than 30 people, including Portland Trailblazer coach and Hall of Famer, you see him there, Chauncey Billups, former Cleveland Cavaliers guard Damon Jones, and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier. They're all charged with wire fraud and money laundering. It's important to note there are two separate cases here. Jones and Rozier charged in connection to what the FBI is calling Operation Nothing But Net, a criminal sports betting scheme involving players and coaches with insider knowledge. Billups and Jones again charged in a second scheme that the FBI is calling Operation Royal Flush, which allegedly involved the mafia and rigged poker games. Take a look at this advanced technology prosecutors say the suspects used to fix those games. Contact lenses that can see marked cards, X-ray tables, rigged shuffling machines, and hidden cameras. The FBI says Billups and Jones were used as the face cards, their status as pro athletes enticing the wealthiest people to play unaware the games were fixed. The other major player at the table, the mafia. Prosecutors say 4 of the 5 crime families of New York were involved, helping coordinate and protect the games, even using threats of force and violence to secure repayments of debt. And as we learn more about the complex charges, the U.S. attorney making his message to the defendants clear. Your winning streak ends today. NBC senior legal correspondent Laura Jarrett leads us off tonight.
Tonight, NBA Hall of Famer and Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat star Terry Rozier have been placed on immediate leave by the NBA after their arrest today as part of a stunning gambling scandal.
This is the insider trading saga for the NBA.
2 schemes naming more than 30 people, according to charging papers, including 4 well-known mafia families in New York City.
Your winning streak has ended. Your luck has run out. Violating the law is a losing proposition, and you can bet on that.
The indictment involving Billups outlining a national illegal poker ring, wooing wealthy players known as fish into rigged games, stretching from the Hamptons to Las Vegas. Prosecutors say Billups and former NBA player Damon Jones were called face cards, using their fame to lure unwitting victims. But authorities say the NBA pros knew the games were a high-tech scam, rigged by the mob and cashed in.
They used custom shuffling machines that could read the order of cards, barcoded decks, and hidden cameras built into tables and light fixtures.
Court documents showing one of those shufflers disassembled, and this poker table taking X-rays to reveal cards face down.
Defendants used other cheating technologies, such as poker chip tray analyzers, which is a poker chip tray that secretly reads cards using a hidden camera. Special contact lenses or eyeglasses that could read pre-marked cards.
Jones and an attorney for Billups not responding to requests for comment tonight. In a separate case, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier now charged for his role in a criminal betting scheme. Authorities pointing to this game in 2023 where Rozier left early with an injury. Prosecutors say he had tipped off others first, so they could place bets on his stats that night.
They placed wagers on unders on players to score less, rebound less, assist less, using information that was not yet public. Rozier exited the game after just 9 minutes, and those bets paid out, generating tens of thousands of dollars in profit. The proceeds were later delivered to his home, where the group counted their cash.
Rozier's attorney tonight saying he believed the feds had cleared his client.
They took his phone, downloaded everything, and at the end of the day, they said there's nothing to see here, so we're going to fight it.
Okay, with that, Laura Jarrett joins us now live. Laura, you talk about the mafia, you talk about NBA players. There was a lot of money here, right?
It's a huge amount of cash, and it's probably what likely attracted prosecutors in the first place, right? The feds aren't going after low-level things. We're talking about $7.1 million in losses. These are wealthy victims. $7.8 million is a lot of cash you're bringing in these poker games. And we should mention, this investigation is ongoing, Tom. This may just be the tip of the iceberg in terms of how how much is being swept in right now.
All right, Laura Jarrett leading us off here. Laura, we appreciate that. For more on the case, someone who understands organized crime, Louis Ferranti, a former high-ranking member of the Gambino crime family and the author of the Borgata trilogy, A History of the American Mafia. Lou, thank you for being here tonight. And, of course, NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos, who also happens to know cards very well and is actually going to give us some of his expertise here. Lou, I'm going to start with you. This is a world you know well. Were you surprised at all to hear the top names in the NBA getting wrapped up with the mafia? How do you think that connection came to be?
I wasn't at all surprised. This gambling has been a mafia mainstay for the last 100 years. And with all the murder RICO indictments that put so many people away for the rest of their lives, the mob has sort of scaled back and they've stuck with loan sharking, gambling, because if you get busted, as long as there's no violence involved, nobody's beat up or threatened, it's a slap on the wrist. These guys could do, a nickel maybe in the can, as opposed to doing 30, 40 years or life sentences. Gambling's an easy pinch. So I was not surprised. Also, too, the mob has always been involved with sports from the days of Jake LaMotta, when Frankie Carbo told him to take a dive with Billy Fox so he could have a shot at the title. Even Sonny Liston, we all know the phantom shot that knocked Sonny Liston to the mat. Muhammad Ali, who beat him that night, couldn't even believe that he went down and wasn't getting up. It came out later that Frankie Carbo told Sonny Liston to take a dive.
Yeah, Lou.
So this is always
Lou, but I want to ask you, a lot of people thought, or they haven't heard of the mob in a long time. And then you have a case like this involving, at least the 5 families, right? What does this tell us about the mafia right now in the United States? Because a lot of that equipment we had never even heard of.
So back in the day, and I wrote a history of the American Mafia that just got published. Back in the day, Johnny Roselli had a very almost identical card scam where he had these big gamblers playing in Hollywood, and he had a hole in the ceiling, and he would watch them, and then sort of like wire through the technology they had back then to the gamblers at the table what was going on, getting them messages. Now, advanced technology, the mob moves with the technology. So not surprising at all that they're using all of this technology. Don't think that, some capo or, Frankie Nine Fingers or Joe the Butcher is making these moves. They're getting some geek who knows technology, and he's doing it for them. He's putting it together for them, and he's doing what he's told. And it also, too, it shows the scope of it. When you see 4 families involved, the mob only has multiple families involved when it becomes something like gasoline, when they're doing multi-millions of dollars, concrete, when they were pouring all the concrete in New York, the windows, when they were putting in all the new energy-efficient windows in the 90s. All the families get involved because it's so big and there's so much money involved that one family can't keep it to themselves. So when you see 4 families involved, you know that this is a huge racket. Also, too, when it comes out of the Eastern District, but it's happening all over the country, that tells me that the original informant must have come out of the Eastern District, and that's what sparked the investigation by agents in the Eastern District and a prosecutor in the Eastern District. Otherwise, it might have came out of Vegas, it might have came out of Orlando, and a million other places where this was happening. But the fact that it came out of the Eastern District in New York, which is who prosecuted me many years ago, Eastern District, that means it all started there.
Yeah. Danny, when we talk about these sort of rigged poker games, as Lou was alluding to here, they've been around forever. But this time around, this looked pretty high tech. I want to put this back up for our viewers here so they can see it. It was X-ray machines. It was rigged shuffling. You have the card counting computer program as well. But you also have stuff like marked cards. And this is something that you know about. You're an amateur, magician,
yes.
right?
Yes, I am, Tom.
Which is new to our viewers, but it's great. You're a man of many talents. Explain to us how some of this stuff works.
Sure. Marked cards have been around forever, but the technology is what's so fascinating. And I own marked cards. You can buy them. And in fact, you can even get Bicycle makes some of the most popular ones. Normally, they're marked up here in the corner in a way that you can see them in a code, sometimes right in plain view. But here's the problem with that. It's fine for Magic where the magician is handling the cards, but in a poker game, the players are handling the cards. So you run the risk of getting caught with the old-fashioned method. Yeah. And the other problem is, too, is that distance. You can't see those markings from a distance. So the infrared technology, and it's really not as high-tech as it sounds. What we're probably talking about more is like polarization that filters out the light, and it's painted right on the back of the card. These are regular, normal cards.
So you're signaling your hand. essentially you're signaling your hand.
Exactly. As soon as you get a deal, and to hold them, for example, you get 2 cards to start. Every card that's face down, if you have the glasses on, and during poker, a lot of people do wear glasses, even sunglasses, but they don't even need that. They could use contact lenses that have the same filter. They can see it plainly. It's usually written as large as the card itself, so there's no trouble seeing the card for what it is.
Your other skill is obviously being a lawyer. You've seen this indictment. Do they have the evidence? I mean, are these NBA players in a lot of trouble?
Here's what I suspect. We've had this case for 1 day, and what I think is that not everything is in the indictment that the government has. What we know is they've been investigating this for years, so presumably they've gone over all manner of communications, and also there are victims. And by the way, no surprise there are victims. Imagine there were a number of well-heeled poker players going to an illegal game, allegedly, and losing huge every time. At some point, the victims in this case likely went to the authorities, although the defendants may have thought, hey, well, they were playing in an illegal game, so maybe they'll never go to the authorities. Who knows?
Lou, I do want to ask you sort of a bigger question, if we can, and what we can draw from this latest case. Anytime that we're covering the mob, at least in the last 20 years that I've been, a reporter and covering mob stories in New York and in Miami, a lot of times when they're doing these busts, these guys are very old, right? You see these guys, they've aged. But this kind of feels like maybe the mob is not as old as people think, number one. And number two, I wonder about law enforcement. Since 9/11, so much was focused on national security, on fighting terrorism. In some ways, have they taken their eye off the ball when it comes to sort of RICO scams and the mafia?
I think law enforcement has a really good handle on the mafia right now. They have plenty of top echelon informants, confidential informants that are feeding them information on a regular basis. And I think that they feel confident enough to look the other way as long as there's no violence. And the mob is sort of like, they've retracted with regard to violence. They don't want to kill anymore. They know that, bloodying up the streets and leaving bodies in barrels, or decomposed bodies in lots, abandoned lots, or the trunks of cars is not good publicity. It's not good for them, and they all start getting locked up. So that it's not surprising to me that they're sticking with gambling. I promise you, there are old guys behind the scenes. I know the people who were named on the indictment, the mob guys. I know who they are. Obviously, I was away with a couple of the guys many, many years ago. And they're older guys now. They're not kids, and I bet you there's even older guys than that. Behind the scenes that may, you might get another round of indictments that's shows a few more people that eventually get pinched. And also, too, if somebody flips, this is the first roundup. You don't know who's going to be talking over the next couple of weeks. There's going to be guys rotting away in MCC or MDC, either Manhattan or Brooklyn, going, I don't like this. I don't enjoy this. I don't like this life. I'm ready to talk. Yeah. I'm ready to, I'll give you 10 more guys and just let me out.
Lou Ferranti, it's been a pleasure to talk to you tonight. I'm sure we're going to have you back on Top Story. Danny Savalos, I didn't know you were a card shark, but it's good to know that about you as well. Great to have you. We're going to turn out to the new and violent clashes over President Trump's crackdown on illegal immigration. Protests and police facing off in Chicago as the president now says he will not be sending federal law enforcement into San Francisco, at least not right now. NBC's Garrett Haake following it all.
Tonight, new clashes between protesters and law enforcement officers. What are you arresting her for? Chicago police coming to the aid of federal agents. Gas deployed, making one arrest for battering a police officer. While in California, a man hit with a projectile during a protest against ICE. President Trump touting his crime crackdown.
They are arresting bad criminals. And they're really good at it, too.
And saying after a phone call with San Francisco's mayor, he's holding off on deploying federal agents there.
I mean, they're doing a good job, so we are holding off that surge, everybody, and we're going to let them see if they can do it.
While in Washington, satellite photos show the White House's East Wing, both before and after the demolition, to build a massive new ballroom in its place, which the White House says is needed to host diplomatic events.
It'll be the most beautiful ballroom anywhere in the world, I think.
Tonight, some GOP criticism.
I'm certainly hearing about it from Alaskans who are saying, what? When did we decide that we needed a bigger ballroom?
The president says the project is paid for by himself and private donors, including NBC News parent company Comcast. Tonight, speaking about his own donation, which he says will be in the unspecified millions of dollars.
How much am I donating? I won't be able to tell you until I finish, but I'll donate whatever's needed, I'll tell you that.
Garrett Haake live from the White House tonight. Garrett, I know you're tracking a lot of stories, including one about the president pardoning the founder of a high-profile crypto exchange.
Yeah, this is interesting, Tom. This is billionaire Binance founder Changpeng Zhao, known as CZ. He'd already served his 4-month sentence after pleading guilty to charges of enabling money laundering through that crypto exchange. Well, today the White House said Zhao, they believe, was overcharged by the Biden administration. And the president is facing some criticism here because Binance had supported the Trump family's own crypto company. Tom?
All right, Garrett Haig for us tonight. Garrett, we appreciate it. Tropical storm Melissa turning deadly. One person was killed in Haiti after a tree came down. The storm expected to intensify into a major hurricane this weekend. And new video just in showing waters rushing into the streets of Santo Domingo in the DR, the entire region bracing for damaging winds, flash floods, and landslides. I want to bring in NBC meteorologist Bill Cairns. Bill, what's the latest track and timing?
Everything continues to get worse for Jamaica. I mean, this has the potential to be devastating for the island. And the word going out is that if you know anyone there, they have about 24 to 48 hours to get out, or they're going to have to ride out a major hurricane for likely 3 days in a row. So right now, it's still a weak storm. It hasn't put on its show yet. The extreme rapid intensification is likely Saturday and into Sunday. Right now, it's just a blob here. And there's also like a tropical wave associated with this that's producing all that heavy rain in that video we just showed you in the Dominican Republic. But look at this forecast from the Hurricane Center. Category 1 Saturday, jumping to a Category 4 on Sunday, and then going right around Jamaica, or maybe even over the top of Jamaica as a major hurricane for at least 48 hours to 60 hours. That would be cruel to everyone there. So how likely is it going to go towards Jamaica? We don't know if it's going to be the west end or the east end. We'll ignore this red line for now. The majority is near Jamaica, and then a storm going up towards Cuba. Our spaghetti lines, which we'll continue to show you for the next week. The American model is kind of scattered here, so I'm not going to pay too much attention to that. But I do want to show you the European model because a lot of people are wondering, what about the U.S.? This is 7 days from right now. This is Thursday, right before the day before Halloween. There's going to be a nor'easter off the coast. This storm is going to be out here in the Atlantic. The big question, Tom, is how does that coastal storm affect it? Does it steal energy? Does it kick it into the Maritimes? There's still a lot of answers that we need in the week ahead.
Could it suck it into the East Coast? I mean, that's the big question.
I would say less than a 5% chance, but the fact that I can't totally ignore it means we got to pay attention.
And before you go, I want to make sure I heard you correctly. Jamaica could be feeling the effects of this hurricane for 3 straight days?
Yeah, this thing is a crawl. It's going to move slowly. I mean, it's going to be painful. The people in Kingston, Montego Bay, they need to start preparing now for many days without power, possibly water, etc.
We'll be covering it here. Okay, Bill Cairns, we thank you. Now to the federal government shutdown on day 23. Federal workers set to miss their first full paychecks this week, and now fears for low-income Americans who depend on government-funded food assistance. NBC's Ryan Nobles has this one.
Tonight, on day 23 of the federal government shutdown, a new twist. Democrats blocking a GOP plan to start paying federal employees working without pay during the shutdown.
Democrats have rejected every opportunity they've been given to put the American people ahead of their far-left base.
Democrats defending their vote, saying the GOP plan would have given President Trump too much power to decide who would get a paycheck.
Our belief is that no federal employee, no one should bear the burden or be punished for a shutdown they have nothing to do with.
Democrats want Republicans to agree to expand health care subsidies first before they'll vote to reopen the government. But tonight, Democratic Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman, who voted for the GOP plan, criticizing his own party, he says, is keeping the government closed.
Do you think your colleagues are making a mistake by not voting yes for this bill that would pay federal workers today?
I mean, I'm going to vote for anything that's credible and in a way to pay our workers. Why? Who wouldn't want to pay all these people?
And now lines are building at food banks. Amber Hullett, a single mother from Texas, relies on federally funded food assistance that will lose funding in days.
It's hard. We're trying to dig ourselves out of a hole that now we feel like there's no hand up out of, you know?
Some states are pulling from their rainy day fund to fill this federal funding gap. In Virginia, they've declared a state of emergency. And California is mobilizing the National Guard to support food banks. Tom?
Okay, Ryan Nobles covering the shutdown. Stories, top moment. State troopers in Washington responding to an early morning 911 call that a kitten was stuck in a concrete barrier on the shoulder. That was the moment they were able to get him out. Here it is.
Oh, you got him. Nice job, Lauren. Oh, it's such a beauty. All right, let's get out of here. Kitty. All right.
Sounds happy. Take a look at that little guy. Another trooper in the district has now adopted the kitten and given it a new home. Incredible they even spotted it. That's amazing. Stay with us. More news on the way. Time now for Top Stories news feed, starting with an update on the stabbing death of a Ukrainian refugee on a train in Charlotte, North Carolina. You probably remember this horrific story. The apparently random attack happened back in August. Now a federal grand jury has indicted the suspect, DeCarlos Brown Jr., finding that he intentionally killed the 23-year-old. The charges carry the possibility of the death penalty. Brown's attorney declined to comment to us. A dangerous rescue near St. Louis after a man climbed 900 feet up a TV station's broadcast tower. It happened outside our NBC affiliate KSDK. Crews were apparently working on the tower when a man started to climb it. No word on why, but firefighters had to use this basket to get him down. Police took him to a hospital for treatment. And this just in, the FAA is issuing a ground stop for Alaska Airlines flights across the country. The airline says they're experiencing a company-wide IT issue that is impacting operations. Horizon Air is also affected. No word on whether their system will be up and running. Anyone scheduled to fly tonight is being told to check their flight status. And he is the biggest soccer star in the world, Lionel Messi, announcing today that he's extending his contract with MLS team Inter Miami through 2028. I sat down with Messi, and here's what he had to say when I asked him about his future with Inter Miami. Was it a tough decision to make, to say yes?
No, la verdad que no. Siempre dije que me baso en cómo estoy, en el día a día y en cómo me siento físicamente y mentalmente para seguir jugando y seguir siendo parte de este club. Y la verdad que me sentí muy bien durante el año. Me siento feliz viviendo en Miami, igual que mi familia, y la verdad que la decisión fue fácil.
Our exclusive interview with Messi airs Monday right here on Top Story and Nightly News. We asked Messi about the World Cup next year and whether he plans to play for his home country of Argentina once again and defend that championship cup. More of our interview on Monday. We are back now with Top Stories Global Watch, and we start with a devastating fire in the Philippines. Flames ripping through the country's capital of Manila overnight, destroying more than 1,500 homes. You see the drone video capturing the massive trail of destruction. So far, no reports of any serious injuries. That's incredible when you think about 1,500 structures destroyed. The investigation is ongoing, but authorities say early findings are pointing to an electrical short circuit that may have sparked that fire. Okay, an update tonight into the investigation into the death of an American chess grandmaster. The World Chess Federation announcing it plans to look into whether a Russian player should be disciplined for statements he made before Daniel Naroditsky died this week. Remember, Vladimir Kramnik is accused of tarnishing the American's reputation by falsely insisting he cheated during matches. Kramnik has yet to comment publicly about that investigation. And a historic moment at the Vatican today as Pope Leo and King Charles prayed together. Have you seen this image? You can see them there inside the Sistine Chapel. It marks the first time in almost 500 years that the heads of the Catholic Church and the Church of England have held a joint prayer. The service seen as a way to form closer ties between the churches, which split in 1534 and have remained divided for centuries. Thanks so much for watching Top Story tonight. I'm Tom Llamas in New York. Stay right there. More news on the way. All right. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.